You asked what the first question.
I asked the first question? Okay. My first question is, at my age, which is like 15, 16, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Well, honestly, no. I did I did know that I really wanted to be in the music field, you know. At that point, when I was 15, I was actually starting to be tedious about music, you know, like practicing a lot more time, more hours, you know. Um, I started violin with my father, so before that time, before I turned 15, you know, it was always, the practice time was because my father told me to do so, you know, you need to go and practice, if not, you cannot do anything else, you know. So it was kind of like I have to do this, you know. But then actually, when I was 15, I started having different teachers, you know, and they started telling me, you know, if you really put a little bit more time on this, you can be very good at this, but you need to sacrifice a lot of stuff, you know, like all the teenagers do normally at your age.
Oh, yeah.
So I decided to say, okay, you know, let's see if I practice more, if I see some results, you know, and actually start to have a lot of results. You know, I start to do some competitions, going to auditions, and I was getting in all those stuff, you know, and getting first places in things, you know. I was like, wow, I think that this can work, you know. If I practice, I have some results, you know. So it was actually when I was 15 that I said I would like to, you know, to have music in my life, you know. But at that point I didn't know that I really like to teach. I never taught in that when I was 15, you know, so I really didn't know. I wanted to play in orchestra, but you know, I was a little bit insecure at the beginning. You know, it's not like, oh my goodness, I will conquer the world with my music. No, it wasn't like that. You know, it was more a lot of doubts, a lot of, you know, question marks in my head when I was 15. But it was when I was 18 that I started to teach. You know, and I really like it because at that point, like I said, at 15 I started practicing a lot. So when I got to 18, I could see the results of practicing, you know. So I felt very good trying to share with others, you know, other people that they were less level than me, obviously. What I know, what I knew in that time, you know. And I was young, you know, but I really started to like teaching. But I was already 18, you know.
And was it ever hard for you with your parents forcing you? Did you guys ever fight over it or like have any big arguments over the fact that you were being forced to balance?
Oh my goodness, yes. It was really intense, you know. Mostly when I was, you know, I remember when I was around 10, between 10 and 15, you know, it was hard because I always wanted to find an excuse, you know, like I had headaches, I was hungry, I was tired, I feeling sick, you know, I itchy, you know, all these kind of things, you know. So really it was hard. When I was 15, yes, I have some fights about practicing, but like I said, 15 years old, I start to say, you know what, I'm going to practice more and see what happens, you know. But yes, I remember a big discussion with my parents, you know. At that point, I thought that my parents, they were too strict with me, you know, and I felt, you know, angry sometimes, you know, honestly. But now that I'm older and I see all the paths and look back, you know, I'm so thankful that my parents were on top of me and say, no, you practice or you practice, you know. So I was very thankful for that, you know, and I'm very thankful now, you know. And so yeah, there was a lot of fightings and, you know, discussions.
Yeah. My question is, what is your proudest moment of your career so far?
Oh, my proudest. Well, well, there are sound like, proud or anything like that, but you're asking me about proud. Well, probably the heaviest one that I had is actually the position that I am holding right now at CBU, at California Baptist University. I am the symphony orchestra conductor, and I had to start this program from absolutely zero. I mean, like, in the whole history of the university, never they had a symphony orchestra.
Oh,
And I was, yes, so I had to start from absolutely zero with students that they didn't have necessary background in symphony orchestra. So I had to brought from zero to a very, very, very well level,
And what was your relationship with Dr. Bonner? That's the man who hired you, correct?
Yes, actually, my hiring started with his dad because his dad was the former dean. His name is actually Dr. Bonner as well, But his dad is his dad is Gary Bonner, and now is Dr. Judd Bonner, But actually, when I was studying all the interviews and everything, it was with Dr. Gary Bonner. He was the one that said, probably the School of Music is needing already a symphony orchestra since the School of Music is getting very known, and you cannot be a School of Music without symphony orchestra, So it was a very important task on my shoulders and a lot of responsibility because many people they were thinking, we never had one, and this young lady apparently is capable to do that. Many people question my ability to actually do that job. I had to demonstrate a lot of stuff. In my interviews, in teaching demonstrations and everything. And more than likely, it was more all these years. We started the symphony orchestra in the fall in 2012, and now, if you hear the symphony orchestra, is probably one of the strongest groups in the School of Music, because I treat them, even though that I deal with students that they are no music majors, the majority they are no music majors, I treat them like they were, So the discipline in that group is really high, and for example, no anybody can join that group. It has to be a very strict selection, So you need to have certain level, and I have to organize all the things from the bottom, like I said, So probably that is the proudest one, because I have seen it going from a baby. I mean, pretty much, a baby group to a very, very, very developed and very successful group,
And how did Gary know about your skills? Like, because you taught people, or how did he learn that you were a violinist and all?
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, Dr. Bonner's father, he went to Spain in 2000, what was that, 2001, 2002, around that time. And he went to do a recording with his choir to Spain. And I was in Spain. That is my home. So somebody told me that this person was coming from the United States, and I wanted to have some musicians to play for his choir, So he hired a full orchestra, and it happens to be that I was hired as the concertmaster of the orchestra for him. Do you know the concertmaster is the first violin of the orchestra in a city? So I was the concertmaster, and then it was there when he started to see my job, how I work, my way that I played, and he that time he offered me to come to the United States and do some studies here, at his university here at CBU. And the first time, I didn't. It seemed so like a dream for me, and after some talks and everything, CBU offered me a full ride to come to the United States to CBU to do a master's degree. saw my willingness to help, I guess that, he saw my heart too, like I always had a serving heart, for, in the little things that I know I love to share, So he knew that, I had a training in conducting. So when I finished my master's with, all the honors and everything,
Yes.
he is when he pushed, the idea of, me starting this program here at CBU, Obviously, like I said, we have to do with all the screening and all the tests that all the people here at the school, they have to go through to be able to be hired, Thankfully, I got the position. But yeah, it was all these years he saw me, he met me in Spain,
Yeah.
all these years looking my work and everything that I do that led him to, be sure that I was, the right person to start this program,
And what genres? I know you play classical, correct? That's what you.
Yes.
And what all other genres of music do you like or listen to, or play?
I like jazz music a lot. As a musician, normally the classical music is what I play the most, But for example, right now I am studying some the repertoire that I'm having. My next concert is the 18th, June 18th. If you want to come and you want to see me play, you can come. It's going to be June 18th with Corona Symphony Orchestra. I am the concertmaster of that orchestra. And the type of music that we're going to play is Broadway music and patriotic music, which is not necessarily classical, So it's different, and the Broadway music is different feeling. It's a lot of like swing music and jazzy, and some of it could be, sometimes I even play country, I play with a lot of, singers like Natalie Cole, all these, Chris Botti, that is totally jazz music. I play in orchestra with this type of music, So it's pretty much you put me the music in front of me, and I can, I can play, But yeah, mostly it's classical. And what I listen, yes, I listen mostly classical, I would say, I really like, since I am Christian, I really like Christian music as well, it sounds, interesting for me too, that.
And you said you were from Spain, so was it hard coming to the United States from Spain?